Welcome back. We're now starting the panel. And in this panel, first of all, I want to welcome our panelists. Thank you so much for joining us. It's great to have you with us. And thank you for the amazing work you're doing for our community. And to open the panel, I would like to start with the fundamental question. Why is life extension so important for humanity? Why is it fundamental that we increase human healthy longevity? Dear James, would you please start?
Sure. I think there are three categories of reasons that I think of. The first is economic. We've been talking for 10, 15 years about the longevity dividend, which is an attempt to reframe the question of longevity from the gray tsunami that public policy people have been worried about for decades, and the debate over entitlements, the attempts to restrict pensions and extend the retirement age. Instead of framing longevity as a burden on society, I think it's more interesting to reframe it as a question of how we can keep seniors healthy and thereby reduce the cost of maintaining seniors in retirement. And a senior who is healthy and is not using a lot of medical and nursing care resources is much easier person to keep alive and happy in a society than someone who is sick and disabled. A second, and the welfare states are going to be seriously stressed over the next couple decades as the old age dependency ratio changes and dramatically more seniors are being maintained by fewer and fewer working age younger people. And so we really need to address this issue. A second issue is psychological, which is that all of us want to live longer. And if we expect to live longer, the research shows that we invest more in our own longevity, we care more about the future of our society, we have longer term prospects for the stability and economic health of the world, the ecological concerns of the world. And so I think an older society would also be, around the world, a society that also invests more in stability. And that's a sociological reason as well. Older people use fewer resources than younger people, so they're greener. They're also much less violent. The majority of violence in a society is determined primarily by the proportion of men 15 to 25 in a society. And so if the majority of men are older than that, you have much less violence in a society. So I think there are many derivative benefits from older societies and also from specifically healthy older societies. And so that's why I strongly support the concept of a longevity dividend.
Thank you so much, James. Dear Steve, your thoughts on why healthy life extension is so important for humanity?
Yeah, I agree with James on health span. That's one of the main reasons I do GF11. I fully intend on being able to ski and ride my bike and backpack. There's one of the rides I did in the Canary Islands a couple of years ago, and I intend on doing that on 100. I'm not kidding. And I'm also 64 years old, and it's sad to say most of my friends have health problems, and the only health problem I got is I'm a little chunky, but I'm a New York food critic. I'm thinking right now about that chimichanga one I had after this. But anyway, I really should cut a little weight. But other than that, everything, all the biomarkers are great. Secondly, I just think it's a huge loss to society. A guy like Thomas Edison, imagine if he were still alive. He'd say to Elon Musk, screw this Twitter bullshit and get back to making cars. In fact, I got a better design for a battery than you do. And, come on, we had these guys still running around. I mean, all the knowledge that when Thomas Edison died, it's a tragedy. Okay, so I mean, all the great whoever you admire when they died, it's a huge loss to society, no matter how you look at it. And as I said in my talk, I do believe that death is good for the species and all that, but we're beyond all that. In fact, another thing that's happening, another trend that's happening, which is very disturbing, is that wealthy countries have negative birth rates. Countries like Japan and Italy, it won't even exist in 75 years. So the only way you want to keep Italy on the map is to keep old guys going like me. So that's another reason. And this ridiculous thought that we're going to overpopulate the world. I've been doing this for 80 years. Let me tell you something. The people that really want to do this are a very unique subset of humanity. A lot of people just want to die on time. I hate to say it. A lot of people are religious. There's a lot of people don't want to take the risk. I could go on, and I could give you every excuse in the book why people don't want to do it. But the fact that if GDFO really does work, that we're going to overrun this country with 500 million people is just ludicrous. So, all right. So negative birth rate, keep those great minds humming and bite the Canary Islands when you're 100. That's why life extension is important.
Dear Karine, why is healthy life extension important for society?
Well, first I'm going to tell Steve I've got you beat on age. I'm 74.
Yeah. That's good.
But anyway, I think I'm going to agree with all three of the other panelists because there are multiple reasons. And so I agree with those. And I'm going to bring up something different, which Steve mentioned, which was poverty. There's so much pain and suffering throughout the planet. And one thing they have consistently found when they do analytics is that the more wealth you have, the more health you have. They are directly related. The poorer you are, the more unhealthy you are, and the more likely you are to die from disease. So dealing with poverty, I think, is a big issue related to health span in general. And when we get to the politics question, I definitely have ways to address that. And I do have some credibility there. I was once called the most sought-after campaigns manager by the media. So I do know things. And part of it is geometry, which is how money flows. If you have money, resources, whatever, that goes one place, that distributes it to here, that distributes it to here, if you think of the geometry, each time you transfer money, which is resources to handle these issues, you have people involved that have to receive a salary. So reducing the number of transfers and people who get to decide how you receive benefits or money or research, whatever it is, it gets spent by all these transfers. And I would address that.
I think we lost Karine for Karine, can you hear me?
And of course it bothers me that I have all the people when you talk.
É melhor conectar. Deita abaixo, por favor.
Oh, it says your internet connection is unstable.
Yes, we're in the last couple. Sorry, Karine.
Okay, I'm going to go up. It's not my home. I'm going to.
Só, Edgar. Deita abaixo e reconecta. Desliga e liga.
Okay, I'm going to go.
Yeah, the team is reconnecting, Karine. We're having trouble. Sorry for that. My apologies for those of you attending. Going for Joseph and coming back to Karine as soon as the team reconnects, Karine. Dear Joseph, life extension is important for society. What would you like to highlight? Why is it important?
Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
So, I do believe that the importance of life extension does not simply lie in the concept of life extension itself, but through the creative and proactive use of a longer life. I mean, happiness and satisfaction for seniors, mental stability for seniors, improvement of financial situation if they can work. I also believe that the extension of life for seniors would alleviate the feeling of uselessness or being sidelined. That's what we see many times. And regaining the utility to society that they once had. Example, we are already seeing the positive result that this is having on a senior community. The level of senior citizens in the workplace, accordingly to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, will make up to 1/4, 25% of the workforce by 2026, which is in 4 years. This is all due to phenomenal progression of lifestyle awareness, preventive medicine, and effective early and active management of otherwise deadly diseases in the modern world.
Right.
So that's my opinion.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you. Guys, are we back with Karim? Is Karim connected? Okay. Okay, going for the second question. We'll connect.